They didn't just cross a line. They dragged it over my front lawn and called it progress. Then they told me to be grateful. 7 days since Martha's funeral. The roast I cooked sat cooling on our table, the table where she used to put out too much food and pretend it was just enough. Perry leaned back like he owned the place. Sienna twisted her wedding ring like it burned. "Now that your wife is gone," he said, that smooth sandpaper voice, "grieve, pack your bags, and don't come back. The house was never really yours anyway." Sienna didn't flinch. She nodded. Martha's eyes, same ice. Something inside me didn't break. It hardened, like water turning to glass in a sudden cold. 23 years in this house. 38 with Martha. 67 walking a straight line. I set the fork down so my hand wouldn't show the tremor. "Appropriate," Perry added, circling the room with his gaze. "Senior living. Assisted care. Space is tight in our apartment." "Space," I said. The word tasted like rust. "Everyone wins," Sienna tried. "Too fast. Rehearsed. No maintenance. No worries. Freedom." Freedom, a pretty label on Exile. What if I refuse? "Dad," she said, voice flattening, "don't make this harder than it needs to be. Harder than being told to disappear by the child I raised." I stood. 2 words, steady, clean, I see. Coat. Door. Night air cut my face like a reminder. Awake. The windows glowed warm behind me. My house. My life. Former family. I drove without the rear view. Back in the study, I set the phone down and pulled out the old yellow legal pad. Numbers don't lie. Promises do. Jason and Brooke? No. This isn't their story. Sienna. Perry. Next column. Assets, not mine, theirs. House. SUV. Perry's company. Lines of credit I suspected, but hadn't confirmed. Next, weaknesses, missed payments, soft income, a reputation built on air. I opened the filing cabinet. College tuition, $89,000. Wedding, $23,000. Down payment, $65,000. Perry's startup, $38,000. Smaller rescues I'd stopped counting. 215,000 reasons to expect simple respect. Respect wasn't on the menu. Eviction was. The bank opens at 9. I still know which office to knock on and which questions make people honest. I slept on Martha's side. Didn't sleep much. At 9:22 a.m., glass tower, Scottsdale sun bouncing off steel. Same lobby I walked for 23 years. Same receptionist who still remembers Martha's laugh. "James Morrison," I said. "Tell him Harold's here." James poured coffee. Offered condolences. I accepted both. Then I asked for what mattered, my exposure as guarantor, my rights as cosigner, my leverage as the guy who knows where the numbers bleed. He pulled files. His eyebrows did the rest. "Mortgage is 60 days late," he said. "Home equity line maxed at 45. Your son-in-law's equipment loan default. 78,000 plus fees. Debt to income pushing 60. 60. The kind of number that makes banks shake their heads before you sit down. I left with documentation. Full liability report on the mortgage, the helic, the failed business. Sun felt hotter now. Not on my skin, on the plan taking shape behind my ribs. Martha used to say, "Trust but verify," especially with family money. I used to smile. Today I verified. By lunch, the legal pad had a new column, actions. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just pressure where the frame is already cracked. At 2:10 p.m., Sienna texted, "We found a lovely assisted living place in Tempe. Much more appropriate. Can we tour tomorrow?" Appropriate. They'd repackaged banishment as care. At 8:47 the next morning, she called again. Then asked for $15,000. Just a bridge. That's not a bridge. That's a bandage on a broken keel. "No," I said. Silence. Then her voice pitched higher. "Dad, please. We'll lose the house. I know the timelines. I know the clauses. I know what happens at 90 days and what happens at day 61. I've delivered those letters. I've watched people lie to themselves between the mailbox and the kitchen table. Consider downsizing," I said. Calm. Controlled. Different. She cried. Told me I wasn't acting like myself. She was right. I wasn't acting. I was thinking. That night, I sat in Martha's chair. The garden outside was dark and clean. Roses love pruning. Cruel in the moment. Necessary for growth. They told me to pack my bags and vanish. I decided to unpack something else instead, consequences. And in the morning, I'd start turning the screws. The first screw? Credit. When your reputation wheezes, financial doors slam quietly and forever. Banks talk. Carefully. Quietly. I don't gossip. I inform. Common Grounds, the weekday cathedral of underwriters. Margaret from First National spotted me first. Condolences. Latte. Then the aside. Harold, off the record. Your son-in-law applied yesterday. Debt to income at 60. Recent bankruptcy. No lender will touch it. Not anger. Confirmation. I moved 3 tables over and sent 2 emails. One to James, compile the comprehensive liability packet. One to an old colleague on the risk desk, heads up, multiple recent inquiries attached to a borrower with deteriorating DTI and an active BK. You'll see it. I didn't lie. I didn't embellish. I didn't need to. Wednesday, the alert started pinging 7 emergency loan applications in 48 hours. 7 denials. Every inquiry shaved points off their score. They were trying to build a ladder out of sawdust. That afternoon, I drove by Perry's construction site. He paced the gravel, phone to ear, hands carving the air. Twice a supervisor approached. Twice it ended with Perry turning away, jaw clenched. A man under pressure misses steps. Concrete doesn't forgive. Thursday, I traded coffee for the public library computer lab. Desert Vista Construction LLC left a trail, late payments to subs, permit hiccups, 2 BBB complaints. Insurance premiums behind. Workers' comp claim pending. In construction, that's not a crack. That's a sinkhole. I called 2 people who owed me favors, David at Southwest Insurance, Sarah in Municipal Licensing. Asked careful questions any prudent consultant might ask. Payment status. Claims history. Safety plans. I didn't accuse. I documented. Sunday morning, I assembled a neat packet for Bob, recently retired from city planning. Subject line. Safety protocol trends among mid-tier contractors. Inside. Public records. Late safety submissions. Incomplete plans. Nothing private. Everything relevant. Bob's the kind who still believes safe means safe. He'd share the packet with the right eyes. Those eyes carry clipboards. Clipboards carry shutdown orders. Monday, 3:15 p.m., Perry's truck appeared 2 hours early in his driveway. He sat motionless, then went inside. 10 minutes later, raised voices. The kind that bounce off drywall and leave dents. Tuesday, Sienna screamed. You can hear betrayal from a block away. It has a pitch. Perry confessed, maybe not all, but enough. $78,000 in business debt. Bankruptcy. Missed mortgage payments. Maxed credit. The dam broke and the living room flooded. By noon, 2 trips to the liquor store. 1 to a pawn shop. Classic sequence. Pawn tickets don't lie either. Midweek, Sienna stood outside, calling everyone she knew. The calls got shorter. The pauses got longer. Desperation burns minutes faster than cash. Evening gave me the porch argument. I watered Martha's roses and let the words carry, you bankrupted us. I was trying to save us. We lose the house in 6 days. Your father could fix this in 1 transfer. You told him to leave his own home. The hose hissed. The roses drank. The pruning would come later. They arrived at my door the next night. Sienna's eyes swollen. Perry's shoulders bent. The doorbell sounded timid, like they were afraid of waking something mean. Thank you for seeing us, Sienna said. I sat in my chair. Martha's chair remained empty, intentional. Talk, I said. Perry apologized. Words picked like daisies. Sorry, stressed, inappropriate. He never said wrong. Not really. How much? I asked. How late? How exposed? He swallowed the numbers like shards. 78. 3 months. No job. We need 40,000, Sienna whispered. We'll sign anything. Collateral? The house I funded. The mortgage I guaranteed. The equity they bled. I let the quiet sit until it weighed the room down. And if I refuse? Sienna folded. Perry stared at the floor. We lose everything, she said. I walked to the window. The garden glowed damp under the porch light. Martha believed in pruning. So do I. You should understand something before we discuss help, I said, returning with a manila folder. Paper slid. Dates lined up like dominoes. Calls. Reports. Inquiries. Each cool, clean, legal. Perry's face drained. You did this. No, I said. You did this. I made sure everyone saw the facts. Sienna's voice cracked. Dad, how could you? How could you? The words came out like a knife laid on a table, telling a grieving man to pack his bags and vanish from the house he built. You mistook kindness for weakness. You were wrong. The room dissolved into quiet sobs and mechanical breathing. When it settled, I offered terms. Public apology, I said. Respect going forward. Full transparency. Counseling. Employment plans I approve. I'll commit $25,000, not $40,000, to stop the foreclosure clock, not restore your lifestyle. They nodded. Pride broke first, then habit. You'll have the check after the apology is posted, I said, putting the paper just out of reach. Tomorrow. They left smaller than they entered. The house exhaled. I picked up the scattered pages and filed them under a single word, control. They thought a check would buy mercy. It bought rules, and rules have penalties. The apology went live at 10:06 a.m. Neighborhood bulletin, then Sienna's page, then Perry's. Clean copy. No hedging. They named what they did, cruel and unacceptable. Comments piled up like snow. The kind of snow that remembers footprints. I met them at noon. The check sat on the coffee table like a live wire. Before you touch that, I said, we're clear on the agreement? Sienna nodded. Perry stared at 0.3 inches left of my shoulder. People look away when pride is chewing on them. This is assistance, not rescue, I said. We do this my way. My way had paperwork. I slid over a simple covenant, monthly progress reports, spending freezes on anything that isn't food, housing, utilities, marriage counseling twice a month, employment verification, no new debt without my sign-off. Miss a condition and I pulled a plug. No exceptions. Perry bristled. You want to run our lives. I want a return on investment, I said. And guardrails so you don't drive off the same cliff in 3 weeks. Sienna signed first. Her signature shook. Perry signed second. His didn't. His jaw did. Good, I said, handing over the check. Next, we call your lender. Three-way calls sound like bad theater. Scripts, pauses, the little lies people tell to feel better. I kept us honest. We secured the reinstatement figure, negotiated fees down, clocked the timeline. My name still mattered. It's funny how credibility works. You lose it fast. You borrow it slow. After the call, Sienna exhaled like someone surfacing. Thank you, she said. Quiet. Not performative. Real. Perry looked like a man who swallowed a nail. What now? Now you work, I said. You build a life you can afford. And you learn. They left with a check and a list. I stayed with the silence and a pen. In the afternoon, I drove past their place. No decorations. No lights. Just two people climbing a steep hill with a backpack full of their own choices. On my porch, the desert air felt honest. I wrote to James about restructuring my exposure, moving liquid assets, updating beneficiaries, building a wall between me and their future mistakes. Then I called an estate attorney. Grief makes people slow. Risk makes them fast. Next morning, the first progress report landed. Sienna had booked 3 extra shifts at the clinic. Perry had day labor lined up, 2 interviews pending. I read without comment, then sent them both a short reply, received. Keep going. Praise is a currency. Spend it carefully. Day 4, they missed counseling. I let it slide once. Day 7, Sienna texted, car trouble. Can we borrow for repairs? I sent a bus schedule and offered a ride to the shop. Not $1. They went to counseling. Day 10, Perry bought a 6-pack. 2 receipts told the story, grocery run plus, miscellaneous, cashback. Small things tell on you. I asked him, plainly. He lied. Bolder than he should have. Try again, I said. Not loud. Cold. He nodded. Looked at the floor. Yes. No alcohol for 60 days, I said. We're not numbing lessons here. He swallowed and agreed. On day 12, Sienna's friend Rebecca posted a photo of them at a restaurant. Nothing fancy. Still a violation. Sienna called before I did. We were meeting a potential babysitting client, she said. They insisted on coffee. Send me the text thread, I said. She did. It checked out. I told her next time to choose the park. She said yes. The tone wasn't defiant. It was tired in the right way. At the 2-week mark, we had a sit-down. No drama. Just 3 people in a room with facts. You're stabilizing, I said. Barely. Keep your heads down. Terry bristled again. Have it. We're trying. Try smarter, I said. Honest budgets. Honest hours. Honest humility. He stared at the roses through the window. You always think you're right. I don't, I said. I just checked the math. Sienna wiped her eyes. She looked older. Harder, too. That can be good if it doesn't turn you mean. As they left, Sienna touched the door frame, the one with pencil marks from her growing years. She didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Inside, I leaned back in Martha's chair. Listened to the house settle. Houses creak when pressure shifts. So do people. I drafted an email to James, phase 2 on my portfolio changes. Then I wrote a letter Martha would never read. Told her what I'd done. Why I'd done it. What it felt like to stop being a soft place for other people's bad choices. I slept through the night for the first time in weeks. Mercy without memory turns into a revolving door. So I locked it and put glass in the frame. 2 weeks of good behavior is a costume. The 3rd week tells the truth. Monday, 8:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown purchase online. The card tied to their utilities. A streaming service trial had become a subscription. Small leak. Wrong message. No, I texted, attaching a screenshot. Cancel by noon. Sienna replied, done. I forgot to turn it off. Perry replied nothing. Silence is a sentence. At counseling, they actually did the work, so said the therapist's note with their permission. Sienna owned her part, silence by convenience. Perry admitted he treated money like a mood. Good. Naming the thing is step 1. Paying the bill is step 2. That night, my credit monitoring pinged again, a new inquiry I hadn't authorized. Payday loan storefront. The digital equivalent of a trap with a fresh coat of paint. I called Perry. Tell me you didn't sign anything. I just checked rates, he said. No commitment. You committed the minute you clicked, I said. Close it. Now. He did. I verified. Day 22, Sienna walked into my living room without tears. I brought something. A folder. Inside, a point-by-point plan to sell the SUV, clear the difference with a short-term shift at the clinic, then buy a beater cash. She'd underlined a sentence. We don't need to look rich to be stable. I almost smiled. Approved, I said. I'll make 2 calls to smooth the sale. She hesitated. Dad, do you think I can fix this? The question had weight. Not about the house. About herself. You can tell the truth faster, I said. She nodded, throat tight. I will. She left. Perry arrived 20 minutes later, same house, different weather. I found work, he said, handing me a paper, temp crew for a municipal project. Union scale. He looked almost proud. Background check. I asked. He shifted. They do quick ones. They do real ones, I said. Anything in your file I don't know about? Nothing criminal. He meant nothing caught. He held my stare. This time it held. Show up early, I told him. Early beats strong when your reputation limps. That week, the apology comments kept trickling in. Some sharp. Some kind. The sharp ones stung. Good. The kind ones asked for updates. Accountability is a weird kind of mercy. It doesn't let you forget. On Friday, the lender confirmed the reinstatement cleared. Clock reset. The house had a pulse again. I didn't celebrate. I checked the numbers and the locks. Saturday morning, I walked the garden, shears in hand. The desert sun warmed my neck. The air smelled like whetstone and rosemary. The roses had thrown out wild shoots, pretty undisciplined. Snip. Snip. The plant didn't scream. It got stronger. Inside, the phone rang. "James, paperwork's ready," he said. "We can restructure your accounts and fortify the walls. Also, there's something you should see, a fresh Helix solicitation addressed to Sienna. They're still on lists." "Pull it," I said. "Block every door. If they want money, they can ask me, not a glossy envelope." By afternoon, I had 3 signatures scheduled for Monday: estate, banking, property protections. Not against them. Against myself, the part that still wanted to hand over a blank check and call it love. At dusk, Sienna and Perry knocked again. No crisis this time. Just 2 people who'd had a long week. "We sold the SUV," Sienna said. "Took a hit. Worth it." Perry added, "I start Monday. I'll bring the first pay stub." "Bring 2, I said. They sat. We didn't talk long. Sometimes the best meeting is 20 minutes of quiet with a plan. When they stood to leave, Sienna glanced at Martha's photo on the mantel. "I told her I'd do better," she whispered, not to me. After they left, the house felt different. Not lighter, tighter, like a belt pulled to the next notch. I poured 1 scotch, sat in my chair, let the burn tell me I was still here. And because discipline means something, I opened the folder with the words I never thought I'd write. New will. Not to punish. To clarify. Legacies don't survive confusion. The pen hovered. Settled. Moved. Outside, coyotes yipped in the wash. The sound was thin, wild, efficient. Survival without drama. I slept, not like a man at peace, but like a man with a calendar and a spine. Stability is a scaffolding. Lean too soon, it buckles. Monday would test every joint. Monday morning brought heat, signatures, and the sound of doors closing the right ones. First stop, estate attorney. We went line by line through the will. Beneficiaries, contingencies, protective clauses. Sienna and Perry's names didn't vanish, they got narrowed. They'd inherit only if debt-free and gainfully employed for 3 consecutive years. No loopholes. No pity clauses. The attorney raised an eyebrow. Ironclad. "That's the idea," I said. Second stop, think. James had the paperwork ready, moving assets into trusts, locking liquid funds behind approvals that didn't include them, severing my name from their mortgage as guarantor. Perry's unpaid balances no longer had my shadow to lean on. "You'll sleep better," James said. "I'll sleep shorter," I replied. Better's the wrong word. Third stop, property office. Filed liens against equipment I'd technically funded years ago. Paper chains strong enough to keep them from pawning it without my say. By 1:45 p.m. My day's work was done. But the test was coming. At 4:10 p.m., Perry called. Breathless. They cut my hours. City's freezing the budget for 2 weeks. We're short again. I let the silence hang until it got heavy. "So, what's your plan?" I asked. "I thought maybe." He trailed off. The maybe was always me. "No," I said. "Your hours are your hours. Make the other ones pay." He muttered something about selling tools. I told him to start posting ads. That night, I stood in the garden and thought about scaffolding. It looks strong, but lean on it too soon and it folds. They weren't ready to lean. Tuesday morning, Sienna texted. I picked up an overnight shift. "We'll make rent." I'm not asking for more. Good. The words I wanted. The action I needed. But midweek, my inbox lit up. A credit alert on Perry's name. Another inquiry. This time, a car lease. He had no business leasing anything. I called. "It was just a conversation," he said. "You can't afford conversations like that," I told him. The next morning, I delivered a penalty. 1 week of direct oversight. Every purchase, every shift, every hour reported to me. They didn't like it. Good. Discomfort's a teacher. By Sunday, they'd passed the week without incident. But the cracks were still there, hairline and waiting. Cracks get bigger when you pour pressure into them, and I had a whole bucket ready. Pressure started with timing. I sent them a message. Inspection at your house. Wednesday. Noon. No explanation. They'd fill in the fear themselves. When I arrived, the place was clean too clean. That scent of desperation masked in lemon polish. Perry stood stiff, Sienna quiet. "This is a review," I said. "Condition of the house. Condition of your agreements. I checked the fridge, modest. Checked the pantry, no frivolous buys. Checked the living room, pawnshop TV replaced with a smaller one. You sold the big one? I asked. Sienna nodded. Paid down the utility arrears. Good. But then I found it, a stack of unopened mail on the counter. Always a bad sign. I flipped through. Lender notices. Insurance premium warnings. And then, the one that mattered, a pre-foreclosure alert on Perry's business property. He'd said it was dormant. He'd lied. Explain, I said. He started with, it's complicated. I stopped him. It's simple. You kept Dad alive so it could keep bleeding you. Sienna looked at him like she'd just learned a new, uglier language. I didn't raise my voice. I raised the stakes. You have 72 hours to close or transfer that property. Or I pull the 25 grand and the bank takes your home. That night, I got 2 voicemails, one angry, one panicked. I didn't answer either. Pressure works better when it's not relieved on demand. Thursday afternoon, they called back. Together this time. It's done, Perry said. Signed over to the creditor. Debt cleared. It cost him pride. That's a good down payment. Friday morning, I handed them a printout of their new reality, tighter budget, zero tolerance for new liabilities, a 3-month roadmap to independence. Perry tried to joke. You should have been a warden. I am, I said. The difference is I want you out. They thought the worst was behind them. The worst was in my pocket, waiting for the right room. The room was a community hall. Sienna had asked me to attend her clinic's open day. Perry tagged along, awkward in a shirt he'd clearly ironed twice. Midway through the event, I excused myself. Slipped down the side hallway to meet someone waiting, the lender's rep, old contact. Quiet handshake. I handed over a manila envelope, printouts, timelines, and a copy of their signed apology. This goes public if they default again, I said. He nodded. Understood. It wasn't cruelty. It was insurance. They'd already tested every limit I gave them. I needed a final deterrent. Back in the hall, I watched Sienna laugh with her coworkers. She looked lighter, not free, but lighter. Perry was trying to network, shaking hands like a man who knew his image was under repair. The next week, I let them breathe. No surprise visits. No extra penalties. Just the rope to see what they'd do with it. On day 6, I got my answer, an envelope in my mailbox. Inside, a handwritten note from Sienna. Dad, I know you've been tougher than I thought I could take. But I get it now. We're not owed rescue. We're given a chance. Thank you. No ask. No hidden hook. Just a line drawn straighter than before. Perry followed with his own call, voice low. I've been sober a month. And I've got steady work starting next Monday. Union gig. Real contract. I didn't say, good job. I said, keep it. That night, I sat in Martha's chair. Thought about all the quiet battles no one sees, the paperwork wars, the credit strikes, the pruning of bad habits like dead branches. And then I thought about the manila envelope now sitting in a lender's locked drawer. My insurance policy. Insurance isn't for what you expect. It's for the day you get blindsided. The blindside came on a Tuesday. Perry called, voice sharp. They're raising the mortgage rate. Said we're still high risk. You are, I said. It's not fair. Neither was telling me to leave my own house, I replied. Sienna got on the line. We can make the payments. We feel cornered. They weren't cornered. They were being reminded. High risk earns high interest. Choices have residue. I offered one last deal. You stick to the plan another 6 months. Clean record, no late payments. Zero debt beyond the mortgage. I'll co-sign a refinance. Once. After that, you're on your own forever. They agreed. Not because they trusted me, because they've learned to trust the terms. 6 months later, they'd done it. Clean. On time. Debt-free except the roof over their heads. I kept my word. Co-signed the refinance. Lower rate. Lower payment. No more lifelines. When we signed, Perry looked me in the eye for the first time in a year. We won't waste this. You can't, I said, because the next fall is yours alone. We shook hands. Not warm. Not cold. Just real. That night, I walked through my own house. Checked the locks. sat in Martha's chair. I thought about how they'd tried to exile me, how I'd turned exile into leverage, how leverage became control, and how control became the one thing they finally respected. In the garden, the roses were in bloom again, pruned hard, grown stronger. I didn't smile, but I slept. Because they'll never forget, I don't rescue twice.